In this explainer, we will address a fundamental question in tort law. What happens when a single wrongful act is caused by multiple people? We will examine who is liable, who can be sued, and how responsibility for damages is ultimately divided. This is the legal concept of joint liability. We will structure our discussion into 5 distinct sections. We will begin with the foundations of joint liability. Then we will cover the rule of liability. Following that, we will analyze the release of a tortfeasor. Our 4th section will distinguish between contribution versus indemnity. We will conclude with a review and final principles. Let us begin with Section 1, Foundations of Joint Liability. Here, we will establish the key definitions and concepts that are essential for understanding this area of law. To begin, let us define our terms precisely. A tortfeasor is a wrongdoer or trespasser. Joint tortfeasors are 2 or more persons who commit a tort together with a common intention. Independent tortfeasors are persons whose independent acts combine to cause a single damage. Finally, composite tort-feasors is the term used in India to describe both joint and independent tortfeasors. The simplified meaning is as follows. When more than one person is responsible for a single wrongful act, they are held liable together for the damages. In essence, the law does not permit wrongdoers to evade responsibility simply because they did not act alone. Liability is shared. We now proceed to Section 2, the rule of liability. This section will focus on the central doctrine governing these cases, known as joint and several liability. The rule of joint and several liability states the injured plaintiff has the right to sue any one, some, or all of the tortfeasors for the full amount of damages. This principle is designed to protect the plaintiff, granting them the strategic advantage of choosing their defendant to ensure the highest probability of recovering full compensation. For joint liability to be established, there are 2 essential conditions. The first is common design, where the parties must have acted in furtherance of a common intention. The second condition is specific relationships, where liability arises from established legal relations such as principal and agent, master and servant, or partners of a firm. Consider this scenario. If a partner in a firm commits a tort while conducting regular business, all other partners are deemed joint tortfeasors and are liable for the victim's compensation. This illustrates liability arising from specific relationships, as the partnership legally binds all partners to the actions of one. This brings us to Section 3, Release of a Tortfeasor. Here, we will conduct an analysis of landmark case law to understand the legal consequences when a plaintiff settles with only one of several tortfeasors. The central question in this section is this: does releasing one person from a lawsuit release everyone else? The legal answer to this has evolved over time, as we will see through an examination of relevant case law. Let us examine the case of Cutler v. McPhail, citation 1962, 2 Queens Bench, 292. The issue was, does a compromise with some joint tortfeasors discharge the main defendant? The rule applied was, a release of one joint tortfeasor generally extinguishes the cause of action against all. The court's conclusion, the author was also released because the legal injury was satisfied. Now, let us consider the Indian law perspective with the case of Shiv Sagar Lal v. Mada Din, citation AIR 1949, Allahabad 105. The issue, does discharging a minor in a compromise release the other adults? The rule here was different. Discharge of one does not release others if the intention is to continue the suit. The court's conclusion, the other defendants were not released. Let us now turn to Section 4, Contribution versus Indemnity. This section addresses the right of recovery between tortfeasors after a plaintiff has been fully compensated. We must define these 2 distinct concepts. Contribution is the right of a tortfeasor who paid the full damages to recover a share from the others. Indemnity, by contrast, is a formal legal acceptance of responsibility to make good a loss incurred by another acting at one's request. Contribution is about sharing a loss, while indemnity is about shifting the entire loss. The historical position is found in the old rule from Merriweather v. Nixon, citation 1799, 8-Term Reports 186. The issue was, can one wrongdoer sue another for their share of the fine? The rule was clear, no contribution between joint tortfeasors. The conclusion was that the claim was denied. The law would not help a wrongdoer. Modern Indian law, however, rejects this archaic rule.
In Kushalrao versus Baparao Gampatrao, citation AIR 1942 Nagpur 52, the issue was, does the Meriwether Rule apply in India? The court established a new rule. Contribution is allowed based on the proportion of fault. The conclusion, the Privy Council held that a person who pays the full debt can recover the share from their co-debtors.
This table provides a systematic comparison. For meaning, contribution is sharing the loss. Indemnity is compensating for the entire loss. For source, contribution arises from shared fault. Indemnity arises from a contract or special relationship. For proportion, contribution involves recovering a proportionate share. Indemnity involves recovering the full amount. And for example, contribution applies to two negligent drivers sharing liability. Indemnity applies when an insurer covers a client's full loss. We have reached our final section, Section 5, Review and Final Principles. This will serve as a summary of the core concepts for academic revision. This flowchart illustrates the legal process. Step 1, a wrong is committed by A and B. Step 2, the plaintiff sues A alone or both. Step 3, A pays the full damages. Step 4, A then sues B for contribution. Step 5, B pays his share to A. This sequence demonstrates the practical application of these principles.
For quick revision, here are the key takeaways. First, joint tortfeasors act with a common design. Second, under the rule of joint and several liability, the plaintiff can choose whom to sue for the full amount. Third, the release of one tortfeasor usually releases all, but intention can create exceptions. Fourth, contribution is allowed in India and is apportioned by fault.
The key takeaway is this. The joint and several rule protects the victim by ensuring they can get full compensation from whoever has the larger pocket, leaving the wrongdoers to fight among themselves for contribution later. The fundamental purpose of this legal doctrine is to prioritize the restitution of the injured party, placing the burden of apportionment upon those who committed the wrong.